up.
Pussy.
Shut up.
You're pussy.
You're not my dad. You can't call me that.
Activate.
All right, everybody. Welcome to This Pink Cloud. I am DJ Kelly Reverb. Thank you, Chad. Thank you, gentlemen. I am an RSPS, which is a recovery support peer specialist. We are a show that is about multiple pathways to recovery and mental health and all that stuff. And I always like to say when we're talking about mental health, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chad Lamont.
Hello, I'm here.
Which Chad?
Hello, people. Hello, fine people of the world.
Chad is going to show up today at this time.
This is Sir Chadwick Lemans, or Lemans if you're French, and I am here for this show talking about mental
Why
health
don't you
today.
just smash the like button?
Smash that like button if you
And
want to see me
subscribe.
hand out poisonous sandwiches to homeless people.
That was bad, dude.
All right.
That's fucked up.
Terrible.
I will leave that one in and replay it twice.
Just to make me
I will
look
cut it.
shittier, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Hell yeah.
Exactly. Always a pleasure to have this young lady in. She's a ray of sunshine, is
Thank
what I
you.
like to say. Yeah, she is looking for. Hey, gentlemen, she is looking for. She is looking for that love, that life full of unicorns and
Self-aware
rainbows.
and unicorns and rainbows.
That's right. And she wants to live in a country farmhouse
I do.
someday.
And
With
look
fuzzy
at the
cows.
stars. With
Right.
fuzzy cows.
Right?
What's her name?
But ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Soraya Nicole.
I love how long the clip is. So
I
I just
know.
feel like you have to dance. all the
Yeah,
time.
you have to present the entire time.
Where's the gong?
Yeah, where was it gone?
Dude, chill out, dude.
Chad.
But thanks for coming out.
Sure.
You are a hope influencer, is what we like to call you,
Yes.
and just a general basket case, right?
Yeah, or a badass basket case.
No.
Yeah. Just
we kid,
thoroughly
we kid.
honest.
No, I thought your episode was great,
Thank you.
and bringing awareness to the self harm.
Yeah.
I thought
some
that was
real.
some real stuff
Yeah.
and stuff that people don't talk about enough.
No.
You know.
No, we got to talk about that stuff.
For sure.
Yes.
Well, and we are excited to have this young man in the building today
Yes.
from the Phoenix. He's like, oh,
Me?
yeah. But
Hey,
ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Eugene Barnes. How are you, Eugene? Oh, you get the girl.
I'm well. I'm
Okay.
well.
Well, thanks for coming out. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for calling me young.
Right? Well, you are a young guy. You look like in your mid-20s. You like that? See, that was
Yes.
good, right?
Let's, I don't know, add like a cool 10, 12 years.
All right. Well, you're holding up well.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
That's,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
my parents' genetics.
Okay.
There you go. Well, so I know you work for the Phoenix, and we will talk about that later. But we always like to hear the guest backstory. So share away, please.
Well, wow. It's so funny that you actually played Handel's Messiah, Hallelujah. I actually did a ballet to Messiah.
Oh, okay.
You know. So I'm originally from Baltimore.
Okay.
Pastor's kid times 2.
Okay.
Grandmother, a preacher, and then I came out very
Yes.
that girl. Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a family that's like very supportive of the arts. My dad plays several instruments.
Okay.
My sister is a composer of opera. My mom was a dancer and an actress.
Wow.
And so like naturally like my progression had to go into the arts. It didn't
Oh,
have
yeah.
to. I
Well,
went
no.
to the arts.
But I mean, it was there, and it was a, I grew up in a very musical household as well. So, hey, it's kind of funny that I became a DJ and a producer.
Well,
You know?
well, I did not go the musical. I mean, I guess I did.
Right.
Ballet.
But you
was
went
my-
arts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ballet was my like chosen hobby at the moment, and
Okay.
then like turned into a career.
Okay.
So I went to the Baltimore School for the Arts, the land of Tupac.
Okay.
I love it.
Your quintessential like fame-esque school.
Right.
And meanwhile, all this time it was very much like attached to the cross, like very like straight-laced,
Religious, right.
I mean,
Christian.
yeah, I mean, my family is just like, I mean, my mom's a pastor in Texas, and I like adore her. Like she is what I think when people talk about like Christian values, like she is that person. I mean, and it's like through like my process in recovery, like I've come to a place of spirituality where we meet, which is like beautiful to have these like conversations.
Sure.
I'm still on my journey of like what I like truly believe, but I do believe that there's like a power greater than.
Right. Okay.
But anywho, so I became a professional ballet dancer at 18.
Okay.
Went to North Carolina. Shout out to Carolina Ballet.
Right. And the Queen City too.
No, it was in Raleigh.
Oh, I thought it was. You said Charlotte.
No,
okay.
it was in Raleigh, the capital.
Right.
They have something.
Right.
It's now like mini Techville.
Right.
But yeah, like was there and like kind of just like experienced like what life is outside of the nest. And that was like a journey in itself. I mean, one that is a journey that led me to like my drugs of choice. And like in that like process of like trying to discover like who I am as an artist, who I am as a human being, who I am like sexually, like who I am like within my family, like all of these like norms.
Yeah.
Kind of,
Right.
Like being the only one. It's like I started that company, the first American male of that ballet company, like naturally born American. And that was like wild. Like,
Right.
it was like, you got talent.
Right. Right.
And then, I kind of like went off the deep end. I went off the deep end.
Right. Okay.
Very entitled. Really thought that like I was hot shit.
Right. Okay. What do you now with looking back? Do you realize why you thought that, or was that a self-preservation mechanism, or what?
No, delusion.
Okay.
I
was just delusional.
No. I think that's like, as an artist, like you have to have this like level. You have a heightened level of delusion.
Yeah.
Like there are a lot of people who just
No,
are afraid to do things.
Right.
And like I'm like, if I really feel sure about it, like there's no one's going to talk me off.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it.
Right.
And so like
And it's not my fault that you don't know I'm great.
Yes.
Yet.
well, no, exactly.
Right?
Like,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of like, I mean, I think the beauty of recovery is like, I've actually like accepted that people won't see it. And so like, I just lean in, like I bet on myself and I keep moving forward. But like, that was like the biggest challenge, and kind of really kept one of the reasons why I like really latched on to like the drug culture. Just because like that was like the place where I found acceptance, because I couldn't really accept myself.
Yeah.
Right.
And so like timeline, I started dancing professionally in 2004. 2014, I basically was just like, I'm about to turn 30. I'm really freaking out. I don't know what to do.
Well, what is the shelf life of being a professional ballet? I would imagine like probably like a pro athlete, like mid-30s maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I have some friends who are like in their 40s dancing still.
Okay.
I mean, in like Europe, like they basically tell you like your shelf life is 42. Like they basically tell you when.
Yeah.
Right? However,
Right.
you also have like a pretty good
Run.
retirement package.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's pretty. You just don't have that here.
Yeah.
Which I realized that, like my first professional job was like probably like a dream. I mean, full benefits. They would pay for like, I was injured a lot, and so they paid for my surgeries.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like they really took care of us.
Oh,
and so
okay.
like when I like left the ballet the first time, my first retirement tour, I thought like, everyone should hire me because I'm great.
Yes.
Right.
And then that, like, there's no real skill sets. Being
Yeah.
a professional twirler.
Yeah.
And so I left Raleigh and I moved to Dallas.
Okay.
And like, you know, kind of, again, the delusion. I'm like, I'm great at these things. And so I end up like working at Macy's Stonebriar, selling shoes.
Right.
Oh, Lord, that word. Suits, shoes, and other stuff.
Right.
And it was commission and I hated it and I wanted to quit. And I actually like walked in and said, I'm going to quit. And they promoted me. Okay, so like,
cool.
so
That's hard to smash that delusion when you walk in to quit somewhere and then
Right.
they're like, actually, no, you're fucking great. We're going to promote you.
Right.
I mean, a lot of it, it's like, you know, in that like moment, like there is like that darkness because like now like I'm in the same state where like my mom like relocated to like Texas and you know like being there where like I could kind of hide what I was doing and now
Oh,
being
yeah.
in a
Well,
space.
what was the main DOC, or was there a main DOC, or was there just a whole grab bag, if you will?
No, I mean, so like I come from a family of addicts, so I kind of was like, I knew I wasn't going to do certain things, and so I was really
because like Uncle Jerry
Yeah.
was torn up on this, so I'm gonna stay away from
well,
that.
pretty
Right,
much,
yeah.
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
And so like, I mean, I was like the party girl, so alcohol and cocaine, like those were like
Yeah.
my two.
They go together great.
They were like
Yeah.
a really bad peanut butter and jelly. And so, yeah, I mean, it was like in North Carolina, like I had a community. I mean, I still have a really tight knit community in North Carolina. I mean, granted, like we're all older.
Yeah.
And like a lot of the relationships because of being in recovery, like have fizzled. And I'm like, you don't serve me in any way. So why?
Yeah.
I also am like, the door's shut.
Yeah.
I mean, if our paths cross, we'll say hi, keep it cute,
Yeah.
keep it
Sure.
moving. But, you know, like that was a place where so many people, I was protected. Like I was really in this bubble, like what I thought.
You were in your element, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like in the element, but also like people, like I really believe people loved me.
Right.
They loved me so much that they enabled. And so
Yeah.
it was, I mean, and that can go back and forth depending on the day. But like I met with my sponsor today, so I'm feeling so much love.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so when I moved here, I didn't have that. And so, but naturally, I thought just because of the culture, I thought like drug culture is that community. And so moving to Dallas was not that. And so I had a really hard time trying to like keep the appearances. But meanwhile, I'm also like messing up royally and I'm still getting promoted, like missing weeks of work.
Yeah.
And then get promoted. So it's
Right.
like this, you know,
It's like that movie Office Space, where
Yeah.
like the Bobs. You have the meeting with the Bobs. Well, we want to move you up to management.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I know for a lot of people, like, you know, like a lot of stories have jails. I mean, mine definitely has institution. I end up going to treatment.
Okay.
Actually, it's no longer in existence. I went to the best drug rehab. Like literally, it's called the best drug rehab.
Oh, okay.
Like
That's a nice.
I mean,
That's good marketing.
It's super Googleable.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I went to the best drug rehab.
I'm gonna name my rehab called I'm gonna name it Free Rehab, and then
yeah.
but then charge people a shit ton of
Oh
money.
God. And then it'll always be on the top.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
That's exactly
Yeah,
like that's
exactly. I know,
exactly
yeah.
what they did.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so, you know, I went there and it was actually like Scientology based, but that's
We were just talking about
We
the
were.
Scientology cans.
Yeah.
it's
Your problem may not be in the addiction. It may be in your thetan levels.
well,
Right.
so okay, like I will say this about that treatment center. They had the best clinical team.
Okay.
They had that team. So the owner is the Scientologist. Everyone else isn't.
Okay.
Right.
And so, I mean, I had moments of going into the space, like, you know, not really knowing. Like, I knew that. So there were two things about this. Like, when my final day, you know, like my mom and I had this conversation, and she's like, well, I know places. She doesn't know places. There are places in Texas. And I don't know where this came from, but I said, if I stay here, I won't stop.
Okay.
I don't have
Yeah.
any knowledge of that. I just knew that if I stayed in Texas, I would not stop. And so I end up in Manistee, Michigan.
Okay.
Talk about like that is one of the most beautiful places I have ever lived. It's so peaceful. It's on Lake Michigan, south of Traverse City.
And what year is this? What year are we talking?
2016.
So we went from 2004 till
2014 is when I left the Ballet the first time.
Okay.
I rose up the ranks in Macy's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Right. By threatening.
Unintentionally.
But yeah. Right. There you go.
Unintentionally. I probably like unhireable just because I did not know of FMLA. My case manager was a disaster, the first one at the treatment center.
Okay.
And so like they just basically thought I was like, I just quit, and I actually like sought treatment, which FMLA like if you go to treatment and you like claim that, they can't fire you.
Right.
I know that now. And so in 2016, June of 2016, I went to Manistee, Michigan to the Best Drug Rehabilitation.
Okay.
And like started this journey. And so it wasn't like this journey that I was like, oh, I'm going to do this. Like I went in there thinking that I was going to be there for 28 days. I told them I'm going to be here for 28 days.
Yeah.
And then I'm out.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay.
Yeah.
And so
whatever you say.
Yeah.
right. Well, the thing is about that, like being in that like weird Scientology-esque environment, like they're really good with manipulation. I mean, and it was one of those things that like one of the people who were there, who was a part of that sector of it, really talked me from leaving. And so I like now I can look back and
Did they eventually sell you a set of books?
No. No. So like that was so I actually went the 12th. So there's like 3 tracks. So you had the 12-step track, smart recovery track, and then this applied living. I forgot what it's called.
Okay.
Applied communications courses. That's what it's called.
That sounds very L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah. I mean, well,
Yeah.
so like the books were like derived from it.
Yeah.
And so like I went that route and then I was like, this is stupid. And so I ended up in the 12-step route.
Okay.
Oh, actually I went to smart recovery too. And I was like, that's not my vibe.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
That's
Well, and it is for some people, because some people are afraid of the God part of the 12 steps. So, and it's just like, okay, well, if you don't want the God part, then go smart recovery.
right.
Ironically, those things work so well in conjunction with one another as opposed to one or the other.
Well,
Yeah.
and so that's something that like I learned. So I went to the 12-step track. And I think in that and with experiences in the treatment center, I realized that the problem was me.
What are you talking about? It's never us.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Not the problem.
Right.
I like that's something that like I will say. I might say that I'm delusional, but I am very self-aware. I mean, it's something that to my detriment.
Okay.
Like I get very like internal. But I mean, there's one of the most like memorable moments of my treatment center days was I was actually like learning about the 4 steps. So the thing about this treatment center, they told you, they were like, this is an introduction to the 12 steps. Once you leave, then you have to do the 12 steps.
Right,
And
yeah.
so that understanding was like, okay, well, I can see what this feels like with getting a knowledge of it, and then I'm going to do it. And so it was around like the learning of the 4th step, and there was the Great Scabies Scare of 2016.
Okay.
Our treatment center, apparently there was like a rumor that went out about scabies.
Right.
And so we had to strip like all of our stuff.
And this is in Detroit or I mean in Michigan?
Manistee, Michigan.
Yeah.
And so I don't know anything about scabies, but I
Yeah.
just remember being on the plastic mattress and like looking up in the bunk and screaming. Like I'm the only person in my room screaming. And I realized that I was crazy. And so I like pulled myself together and went to that 12-step track. And I was like, okay, I'm going to give it a shot. And so like that 28 days turned to 30 days. And then I was like, ooh, can I stay longer? Because I'm not finished yet.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then that turned into 60. And then I wanted to stay because I realized like I didn't have a job
Right.
at that moment. And so I asked, you had an opportunity to ask, and then you would get scholarship if you were lucky.
Right. Now, coming in, was it a paid rehab?
Yes.
Okay.
So I had really good insurance.
Oh, okay.
The thing is, though, because
Obviously, you had the best insurance.
I have the
Right.
best
Right.
insurance.
Treatment center.
Nothing but the best. But so I went in there. So this is something that I'm like, this is like a God thing.
Yeah.
Because I went in there and my like benefits stopped while I was there, and so I was still there.
Yeah.
And like no one had a conversation with me. It was like, it's time to go.
Yeah.
And so around the 60th day or so, I asked to stay. And I was like, well, this is my situation. And the only way that I could stay, and my counselor at the time, because I fired my first counselor and I fired my like case
Right.
manager.
Yeah.
And so I ended up with the clinical director of the treatment center. And then now my best friend, Lindsay,
Okay.
who was my case manager. And they both were like, if you're going to stay, you have to take this course. Like, that's the only way that like you will be deemed serious.
Right.
And so like, because of my like knowledge, my growing knowledge of like, you know, being open-minded, willing, honest, I was like, okay, I need help. So I'm going to just go in with an open mind. And I did it. And like, they let me in. So I had 93 days of treatment.
Yeah.
Practically free, and now the treatment center is debunked. So hey,
Right.
Yeah.
go me.
Right.
Go me.
So, you know, like after that, I ended up working at the treatment center.
Okay.
And aftercare, which is weird. Now I look back at it, I'm like, 93 days were like,
That's a long time, man.
well, it's a long time, but not a long enough time to be giving people
Right.
advice about what to do for
yeah.
aftercare.
Yeah.
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 I'm like,
I've been here 90 days, so
Yeah.
I know it all.
Right.
I'm an expert.
Right.
And so, you know, but like that for me was like one of the best foundations. One, I was in the small town. I had nothing. I mean, I think I had like negative $200 in my bank account.
Right.
So like I lived in the staff house with like, I don't know, 11 other members,
Wow.
I mean, member staffers.
Yeah.
And like I walked in Michigan, it's like snow. So I like
Right.
walked to like the building. It was on a
Right.
hill.
And
Up
uphill. both
Up
ways.
a hill in the
yeah,
snow.
it really no seriously.
Yeah.
I would like walk miles in
Yeah.
the snow to work, and I was the happiest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, I mean, the town, when I got my first apartment, it was behind this Westco gas station, and after 6 p.m. you get 2 donuts for $1.
Oh, hell yeah.
They made those donuts fresh, and that was like the greatest treat of my life.
Right.
Yeah.
And then like there was like a laundromat that was behind, and like I was close to Lake Michigan, so I could walk there. And so it was just such a like a beautiful moment. But then again, of course, like me being me, I wanted more. And so I ended up like leaving because I wanted something. I wanted to become a case manager.
Okay.
And they offered me the job, but it was like, you're going to be a case manager for like $11 an hour.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I can make more than this at Macy's.
Yes.
actually, I ended up at Banana Republic.
Banana Republic. There we go. There you go.
And so like, I mean, but I also like, I mean, you know, wait a year to get in a relationship. And I waited a year and a day. And I ended up in a relationship and ended up moving to Grand Rapids.
Okay.
Needless to say, it did not work out. But my case manager friend was living in Grand Rapids, so we ended up being roommates. And it was such a wonderful moment, just to like be with someone that I respect her so much. Like, I think that I love her work ethic. She's one of those individuals who, it doesn't matter how much money she has, like she will work a restaurant job just because she needs to like, oh, I really want this. I'm going to like work extra to make that happen.
Yeah.
She has this level of humility that I'm like, I don't know if I'll ever get there.
Yeah.
But you know, so I was there, and then I think that was 2017. 2018, my mom told me that she was diagnosed with breast cancer, so then I moved back to Dallas.
Okay.
And then God, my life is just long. So I was in Dallas and
My life is just long.
I know when you
Well,
look back,
hey.
right?
I'm like, God, there's so much.
Right.
You know, so I worked for like a prominent convenience store, and I still at this time was like trying to like get back into like ballet. In Grand Rapids, like I was able to like start my career back with Grand Rapids Ballet.
Okay.
And you know, I just like I knew there was unfinished business, but I was also hesitant because like the only knowledge I know of ballet is drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay, so if I'm going to do this, like, how is that going to feel? So like feeling the energy of like performing and then like going home
Right.
was such a like foreign concept.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's the whole, like, whenever I talk about like DJing without getting, you know, wasted. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
So I get it.
It's like, it's such a, it's
Performing without that other part of it that you're so used to.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for me, like, I mean, I think everyone has like their like, I'm not going to do's.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And
Yeah.
so like, for me, it was like, I never wanted to like, you know, there's like stories of ballerinas in the past, like Kelsey Kirkland, who like, you know, did a rail before she would go on stage.
Mm-hmm.
And like, for me, I was like, no, like I need to feel it. But then
Yeah.
the irony of it is like, I would like go out on benders and then the next day and the next morning, I'm not
Yeah.
even like done. The next morning, I'm
Yeah.
like, ooh, I need to go to sleep and then start performing.
Right.
And then being like
Right.
still wasted from the night before. So I'm
Right.
like, well, what's the two evils?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, I got the opportunity working for the convenience store as a general manager. It's not fun, especially when no one wants to work.
Yes.
Oh yeah. It's like wrangling cats.
And yeah, but then the business still has to go. So who has to run it?
You.
And
Right.
so it's
the
like
GM.
it's like 19 hours, 20 hours of
yeah.
nonstop work. And I'm like, I am not on drugs. I
Right.
don't need to do this.
Right.
And so I left that. Again, delusion. I quit. And
Did they give you a raise?
no.
We want to move you into corporate.
Yeah.
No. That was a different, I mean, like,
Right.
that was I mean, there's stories behind that one, but no. I think if I played my cards right, I probably would have been protected more. But like, that was a lesson in itself to like learn when to advocate for yourself. And like, it's not being demanding if you're like, these are not good. I mean, well, actually, I quit my job and ended up getting unemployment because my working conditions were so bad. And I had proof of saying, like, hey, I need help. And no one offered it. And so,
Right.
you know, like, these were, like, all these, like, tools and lessons of, like, okay, well, maybe I'm not that bad. And so I actually had the opportunity to start dancing again in Dallas.
Okay.
And, like, that journey in itself was a learning. That was a hard lesson because again,
What did you end up doing? Like, who did you work with here in Dallas? Or if you don't want to say, you don't have to.
Okay.
I'd rather not. We'll move along.
I'm like
Yeah.
People?
I'm still working steps on that.
Gotcha. Okay.
I also don't want to like.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. Gotcha.
So I ended up working for this company, and that was like something. It was the first time I was like 1099 employee.
Okay.
Without another job.
Right.
And so like living solely on that was like,
Yeah.
to this day, I'm like, I'm not cut for that.
Yeah.
Like that. That's not my jam. And so in that, I mean, so this was in 2019 when I started working for this company, and like by the time of like 2020, so like March 2020, I was praying for a miracle. I mean, was not expecting COVID to be the miracle.
Right.
But I was like praying for like something to like change in such like a massive way, because I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Like I physically was like, I don't know how to put two nickels together in this moment.
Right. And you were clean at this time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, I mean, a lot of those decisions were like, you know, so in that moment, like I was like, okay, well, if at the time I really believed that was like what I needed to do to get the closure, because at this time I kept going back and forth of like retiring from ballet. I think at this time it was my fourth retirement that I came out of.
Right.
And so, you know, I was like, okay, so this opportunity unfolded, and I went through this. COVID happened. I mean, everything that happened, I don't need to really relive COVID. We all were in it.
Yeah.
But like the opportunities of like the government assistance really helped me to like set myself up
Yeah.
in a way that I could be better once we started to reopen. And then as we started to go, like I became very resentful because I mean, one thing about even though I am delusional, I am very sure of my talents.
Okay.
I'm very sure of like what I can do. And I think more so like because of like I'm in the 12th step, like I am a 12 stepper. Like there's no
That is your preferred method of recovery.
But I think part of it is because I love learning about myself, and that could be self-centeredness, but I really love like to understand why I feel that way. Like you have to explain it to me, like very childlike, and then I have to see it. And so it's something about like this like level of life skills that when I like can actually like write down exactly what went wrong, see the pattern, identify the pattern, and like have someone call that pattern out to me, and then we talk about it, and then I go back into my life, and then life opens.
Did you see a specific pattern?
A lot.
Okay. Yeah.
I think one of the biggest patterns is that I am afraid of success.
Okay.
So fear
Afraid of
is-
success and afraid of failure.
Yeah.
No, I'm not really afraid of failing. So I have a very, I don't believe in failure. I really believe that these are opportunities for redirection. Now, what you do with that lesson, then you can deem with it. For myself, I learn from those lessons.
Yeah.
So like, you don't have to tell me something twice. Like the moment that you tell me, and because I will sit with it.
Yeah.
Like it's not that I'm like, I won't brush it off.
Right.
If you say something to stir something in my spirit, then I'm going to be like,
Paying attention.
like, ooh, like, okay, well, you said that for a reason. So like, I will try everything in my power to address that. In my step working process, it came off as people pleasing. So like that was one of the major lessons of my last stint for ballet was that I was afraid to advocate for myself because I was afraid to rock the boat. And so like that, but then the thing about people pleasing is manipulation.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to like get what I want out of this in this weird passive aggressive way.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, now because of that, because I did all of that people pleasing and still lost, I ended up getting fired from that job. Which is wild. I did so many things and I got fired clean. I got fired clean. And and so like that's one of those moments, even like leading up to that moment, so this is 2022 and I'm miserable. Like everything about like the kids, I was like the director of training for this company. I hated looking at the kids. I did not want to be there with the dancers. I mean, personally, just because I started my career in such a high level of professionalism.
Sure.
And I'm not in control, which that was one of those moments
control.
that I was just like,
well, and then you probably thought a little bit of what you were doing currently was beneath you.
Yes,
Yeah,
actually.
definitely.
Yeah. And so like, but the different thing, the approach of like, cause this is similar to this is similar to what happened when I was working for Macy's and I walked in and I quit. And so I talked this out with my sponsor and I just had this conversation where I was just like, I was bargaining. I still was not honoring myself to be like, this does not work for me.
Right.
Like, if you really believe that you're in the care of, you got to go. And so, this happened on a Monday, and by Friday, I lost my job. And so, like, that was a different moment because, again, the difference was I was prepared. Like, I worked my behind to have, like, a nest egg because I knew that, like,
At some time, I'm going to self-sabotage, or no?
Kind of. Yeah, actually. Okay. I haven't even thought of that one. Oh, my God. What a gem. Yeah, well, because I knew that, like, spiritually, I was angry. And I know my behavior in the past of, like, if I'm angry, I'm going to mess things up. One way, like, someone's going down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's usually me. But I'm going to try to take everyone down with me.
You're all coming with me.
You're all coming with me. And
Right.
so in that moment when I got fired, I knew that I was okay.
Yeah.
I mean, partially because it was a prayer that I was praying for an answer.
A shift. Yeah.
I was
yeah.
something needs to change. And so, I took that time off because I was I have money. So
Right, yeah.
I have money. So I don't have to feel
It's
that
not like
need
hand to
go
mouth.
in.
Right. Yeah.
And so I did I started looking for work. And so I ended up just Googling, I wanted a specific job. I wanted to work in recovery again.
Sure.
I did not want to work in the treatment center sector just because I
Right.
know what insurance companies do
Right.
and the games you have to play
Yep.
to get funding. And if someone really needed it and watching their benefits go
Right.
out
Yeah.
and they have nothing that, in aftercare, we had to do phone calls to call out families or people, clients that were in the treatment center. So I knew when people died. I knew when they relapsed. So I was so desensitized to that didn't bother me. It was seeing people who were in the treatment center who were
Couldn't get the
I
help they
need
needed.
this.
Yeah.
I need this.
Because you had been there before yourself. Yeah.
And so seeing that was just that was the hardest thing for me. So I was I can't, I don't know
Yeah.
what. And so I ended up Googling recovery jobs and nonprofits. Ironically, there's a lot of
Christian
Christian jobs
Right.
out there
Sure,
that
sure,
are
sure.
recovery based. And
Yeah.
I was that's not, I don't think that we're going to get along.
Yeah.
I like to get my nails done.
Yeah.
I don't think that you'll vibe with that.
Right.
Right.
And so the Phoenix came up and I don't think I really looked at the job description.
Right.
I just was
You were just sober community. Cool.
no, it wasn't even that.
No?
I just remember looking at what the duties were. And
Right.
I was that's mine.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
I tell you what, we're going to awkwardly throw, and then we'll talk about what you do with the Phoenix currently.
Yeah.
So we have the old Max the Axe there. Yes. Lone Star, if you go to thispinklawyer.com, it will take you to the Lone Star Injury Attorney's website. And you can hit him up. He will. Max is a personal injury attorney, and he serves in Texas and California. All right, cool. So we got through that. All right, Chadwick, we've got some new music. If
can't
you
call
would
me
like
that.
To
You know my dad.
Chadwick.
Don't call me that.
Chadwick.
Don't call me that.
Okay.
What were you saying?
Okay, Chad Bungus.
What were you saying?
What's up,
Huh?
Chad
Daddy,
Bungus?
What were you hey, man. Good to see you, man.
Okay. But anyway, we've got some new tracks out, and Chad's going to play it right now.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing tonight that we have is us. We're just gonna let this one ride. We're just gonna let this one ride.
Bangers in the system, it's bangers in the system, it's ancient and anarchy. Bangers in the system, it's like bangers in the system, it's like in my white tee. Bangers in the system, it's like bangers in the system, it's like in my white tee. Bangers in the system, it's like bangers in the white tee.
Dude, we just turned it into a little dance party
I
here.
That's just a
know.
little
We're
dance
having
party.
fun over
I like
here.
So that the actual the Let This One Ride is actually out now. It should be on Spotify, streaming, all that stuff. If you want to buy it, it's on Beatport. The Travis Scott remix is actually free on SoundCloud. So if you go to SoundCloud.com, look up Kelly Reverb, it will be on there, and you can download it 100%.
Yeah, and for those who were looking for our Latin tech stuff that we did, those are on YouTube because somehow they did not make it to Spotify.
Well, they
Shout
will.
out to another country that put it out.
Okay, anyway, Chad's Chad had to air that.
I know.
Yeah.
Chad
The
had
Latin
to
ones
get
were
it.
really good, and
Oh.
they're not streaming.
They will be. It's okay.
No, they won't.
Chad will get over
I
it.
know.
Chad,
I was like, Chad needs a hug.
No,
Yeah.
Chad's needed a hug all day. First
I
off,
gave him one.
No, but he came in bitching about the stools.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
dude,
then,
these fucking things kill my back.
I know. He was like, oh, pain.
Yeah, I know. Oh, and I can't. You could have come up here and done this, and then you could have had the cameras ready, and I just want to complain about everything.
You should have gotten a producer. Oh,
Yeah,
I am
right.
the producer.
Exactly, dude. God. Crybaby. Anyway, crybaby.
My name's Kelly
Chad,
Beaver.
do you need
Chad,
a-
just a
hey,
little, just a
Chad,
little
do you need a
crybaby.
little sippy from your sippy cup?
My name's Kelly. I'm a little hungry. I'm going to take a little bite of an apple. I just want a little apple.
Shut
Do you
up,
need
dude.
a little sippy from your sippy cup? You little sippy cup. Do you need a little straw for your sippy cup, Chad?
My name's Kelly Beaver, and I'm going to do a TT in my diaper.
And then
Chad.
Chad's going to clean it.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Well,
Yeah,
we'll edit all that out.
We're not editing
Anyway.
any of that out.
Well, hey, brother, you don't edit, so go fuck yourself.
Hey, like and subscribe this if you don't want him to edit that shit out.
No, he's just switching
There
cameras.
we go. I'll just hold it on me. Anyway, okay. So now you found your dream gig at the, or
The Phoenix.
Le
I was gonna say not
.org.
dream gig. That might be a little extreme, but something a position that made you happy,
Well, I mean,
that resonated with you.
honestly, I want to say that like it is.
Okay.
So leaving my career, like making that decision to be like, you're done.
Right.
I was having this conversation with my mom, like, what do you want? And you know, I mean, there was a lot of things on that list, but one of the was I want to be in an environment that I can like really bring change in. Whether it be through my ideas,
Right.
whether it be just in the fact of having like
Yeah.
conversations, like challenging conversations, and people walking away from it with a better understanding.
Right.
Like not challenging as in like
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
me unboxing.
Right. Yeah.
But it's like, that, and then like respect and like this community of like just like-minded individuals. And so coming into the Phoenix, I mean, it was hard to begin with. I mean, one, like this is already a community of it's a different type of recovery.
Yeah.
And so coming into it, like I had to like break away from my like real 12-step by the book type of living.
Yep.
That like this is the only way. Like this is
Yes.
the only way.
Right.
Yes.
You know, work the steps or die, motherfucker.
Like that type of thing.
Well, that's a big thing. That's why I wanted to do the show, because like there were so many different assets out there besides the 12 steps, because everybody knows about the 12 steps.
Right.
If you go to that, oh, well, whatever, have you tried AA? Because that's what everybody knows. But
Yeah.
then that's why I wanted to do the show, is because there were so many different assets and that can be a part of your recovery, not just the 12 steps.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing that I like about the Phoenix, and I think that really, like my partner's not in recovery, but seeing the Phoenix through his eyes has really opened up this like a different perspective of like, oh, the Phoenix is not just for people in recovery.
Yeah.
This is for people to be in an environment where you know for sure if the Phoenix's name is attached, there will not be any drugs or alcohol.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
how beautiful is that?
Yeah.
Too? Like, basically, like that logo
Right.
is your safe haven.
Yeah, and it's not like you have to be an addict or
Right,
anything or
right.
had a problem. Maybe you just don't prefer to be in that environment.
Right. And
Yeah.
so, you know, like, and that has like been a journey that in itself. So like when I started with the Phoenix, a lot of it was like learning that like what this community is. I mean, in fact that it's like through like activities.
Yeah.
It is beautiful watching this in the DFW just because there is we're different than a lot of the areas in the nation. So the Phoenix has like areas within, you know, of course the States, we have some in Canada, and then we have some in the UK. But we're different in the fact that it's like they see the DFW as the Metroplex. Like it's just DFW. It's not Dallas. It's not Fort Worth. It's the Metroplex.
Right.
And so we have a unique space. We have a unique opportunity to basically have our own region within just
a state.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things that like, I mean, of course, everyone has their own backgrounds of things. So when I look at the Phoenix, so I'm the DFW volunteer coordinator. My main task is basically to create processes for the Phoenix to like basically get people streamlined through their onboarding process, finding like what strategies that they want to bring to the community, and like how to further that impact. Do I think that's initially what the Phoenix wanted for me? I don't think so. I think that like I mean I was a ballet teacher, so my like background is always looking at things and assessing it and then saying, you know what, why don't you try it this way?
Yeah.
You know, let's have a conversation of like, well, you're having these challenges. Why do you think that's
right?
And then like redirecting it and then like pushing forward. I mean, Nicole and I had a conversation, I want to say like February. And like, because initially it was like, we have these events, let's put bodies in it. And Nicole was like, I don't like this.
I like being used.
Like I don't like that. So we had like, this is what we call challenging conversations.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, what do you like? And so like, you know, we say this in the Phoenix that like anything could be an event, right? Or you can support in any way.
Yeah.
However, what does that mean? No one's defining it.
Right.
And so we have had this opportunity. I'm like grateful for you because that was like kind of the experience that, it was like an idea, but then like seeing it into reality. So Nicole's like using her like beautiful talents to like handle all of her social media in the Metroplex,
Yes.
or
Right.
in Texas, but in the Metroplex.
And
Texas, all of Texas.
all of Texas.
Right.
But what's wonderful about it was like seeing like the life come back. It was like knowing that someone like Nicole, if we kept pushing her in this direction, she would walk away from us. And so like because my community is the 12 steps, I can look at the Phoenix with this like respect that I'm like, I really want to create an environment for people who may not see the 12 steps the way that I do, but find that same love of community like I
Yes.
have with the 12 steps.
Right.
And even though like I'm not pushing the 12 steps because we are all
Right.
pathways, and like having that ability to listen and to love and to like share and like, and it's wonderful because I am seeing that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, and then, so is there anything that you have currently, like, as far as programs and things, your agendas that you're pushing for?
I love agendas.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot. So, I mean, I've been with the Phoenix for a year and 4 months. I don't know when this will air, so we'll just say 4 or 5 months.
Right.
Coming into the Phoenix or into the DFW is very one point of view. So very CrossFit heavy, very climbing.
Yeah, like outdoors, athletic.
Very
Yeah,
outdoorsy.
yeah.
Since then, we have morphed into like true social communities. And so, you know, we have expanded into Denton. So we do have climbing out in Denton. We have a wonderful partnership with Solutions of North Texas, where we have events there and they open it to the public.
Okay.
So at the time, we started this relationship, I would say in July, and we've had like a consistent monthly event.
Okay.
We've been trying to do kickball there. For whatever reason, it's either been like 140,000 degrees or raining.
Yeah, right.
Like literally Sunday was that event and it was raining. It has not been raining and then all of a sudden it rains when we have this kickball.
Right.
So we improvise. Since being on, we're expanding like our community within the LGBTQIA plus community.
Okay, wait. You just said a couple more letters that I do not know.
Don't ask me. Don't ask me what it all is.
Okay.
I'm learning as well. I mean, I'm a person of a certain generation, and so like what I know is like always there to be revisited.
Okay.
Again.
That was a very PC answer. I like it.
I mean, well,
It's the truth, though.
Yeah.
I mean, there's every day there's a new evolution
letter.
of things.
I mean, and so like, so the one thing that I can always check myself if I'm really getting like pissed off with someone else's like POV, then I know I'm not being open-minded.
Yeah, man. I heard somebody say the other day that was fantastic. If you are looking at somebody else and you don't see them as another version of yourself going through a different life, then you're missing the point.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
Great. I love that.
That's good.
Yeah, man, I say smart stuff sometimes.
That's good.
I was almost gonna push your cup.
You didn't push
over.
my cup.
Right when
But
you were
it's true
saying
what
that,
you
just to
said, though,
mess with
Eugene, because I think that we have to recognize like what we were like, and so that I shouldn't say we, but maybe others who are experiencing us, that it's not about offense or trying to offend, but this is what I know, and I'm not trying to offend you, but I'm just this is all I know, you know. And so it's like I'm not against any of the whatever anybody wants to be identity wise, or whatever you want to do in your life. Honestly, I feel like we all have to evolve internally and personally, and I love what you said, Chad, because I think that that's so true. I mean, like, you're experiencing something that I may not experience, but I can at least relate to you on some level.
Right. Well, and that's the thing that I think is really great about the Phoenix is that because of that, I know for sure that one person has a passion, they have a talent, and they have a community. Our objective is to get 1 million people. And like we say 1 million members, but like I really believe like 1 million active people in this community.
Yeah.
Like that's
Right.
a different type. You can get
Yeah.
I can just walk around and get people signed up on the app and
Sure.
there'll be 1 million members. But like to really get people participating in this community, that is what's beautiful, of like seeing someone who's like, I really need this. But then I'm like, hey, we have these resources. Allow us to help you. What do you need to further your message? What do
Right.
you need to impact your community?
Right.
And so like we've been partnering with a lot of great organizations, peer-to-peer.
Yeah.
We've been partnering with 4 Down and their like food distribution initiatives. And like there's so many like Honeydew, which is this beautiful woman who is focusing on the mental health facet, like wellness, but she's not in recovery, but she knows the beauty of mental health and wellness and what sobriety plays into it. And so having this opportunity to like connect with people and just say like, hey, like volunteering for the Phoenix looks different than volunteering for any other nonprofit. Like,
Right.
We really have the ability to like foster entrepreneurs, like that mindset to be like, hey, like you have an idea, like what do you need? How can we help you?
Yeah.
Like, how can we get you here? Here are the tools that we can offer.
Right.
And if we can't have it, we do have people, not me. I don't, I know where my strengths lie. But like we have people that can make that into reality. So we need your vision to help us further the vision.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm like, this is my dream job. And the fact that like, I never thought that, you know what, that would be a lie. I really, in my like life, I knew that I was very special and I was very unique. And I didn't know how to communicate that in a way. I know that when I walk into like certain spaces, people light up. Like I don't take that for granted. I know that people confide in me. Like, so that means that I'm trustworthy. And it's not just like friends. These are just like strangers who just come up and just like unload. And so, at first I'm like, that's weird. I don't need to know that. But then I'm like, wait a minute. Like,
Right.
So now I'm in this opportunity where it's like, okay, I get to listen to people.
Yeah.
I get to like, you're like, you can schedule some time on my calendar and like, we can chat about like whatever. Now, if people do it or not,
That's on
up to
them.
Yeah.
But like, I do have like, I'm open to that.
Sure. Well, why don't we tell the people where they can reach out to actually check out the Phoenix online?
Yeah. Okay. So we have, it's thephoenix.org, THEPHOENIX.org.
Right.
That is one way if you want to get like a quick, website view. However, if you really want to experience the Phoenix, get the app.
Yeah.
So I'm not spelling it again, the Phoenix.org.
Right.
You can rewind it just to get the spelling. And then / the app, or the Phoenix app. Okay.
/app.
Just
you got
search
it.
the
Okay.
Phoenix
Yeah.
You did it
in
right.
your app store and it shows up.
And it's like, so, I mean, that is one of the greatest. I mean, this is something that's really great. So we do have where everything is streamlined through the app, the volunteer onboarding process, the fact that you get to like see what's happening in your community. I mean, again, very fortunate that the DFW has a lot of events, even Thanksgiving. We have 20 events when the
Here, I'll
calendar.
pull it up, Chad, if you can show. I don't know if that's that's the app
symbol.
right there.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so we have, you have everything on the app is free. So you have opportunities to do on demand. So if you want to start your mornings off with a quick meditation, there you go. If you want to do live streaming, if you're like traveling and you can't, like, there's nothing there, there's a community through like live streaming.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then we have
for
on
sure.
demand. So it's like really create that community that's there.
And then any city that you're in too. So like even if you're traveling and you're like in Austin, like not just Texas, but like you're in Austin, or then you're going to go to Michigan or Chicago, things like that. They're in every.
I know
pretty
somebody
much
who
every
came from
city.
Colorado, and she said that the community out there is massive.
Oh, it's huge. Well, so
That's where they started.
well,
right? Or is it
Boston. They started in
yeah.
Boston. So Boston, Wichita, and Denver. I don't know what we were just talking about that. They have actual buildings.
Yeah.
And so like that's just a completely different type of energy. I
Yeah.
mean, where you actually have like the space to go.
Right.
We're just really fortunate. I mean, Don Gardner, our community engagement.
Shout out,
coordinator.
Don.
Shout out, Don.
Take her to dinner.
I owe you dinner.
Chad does owe you dinner.
Don, I
but-
told him earlier I owe you dinner from the recovery rally. So if you're watching this,
It's
I owe you
recorded.
dinner.
It is now part of the record.
We'll keep plugging it.
Yeah. But
She create. I mean, we have these beautiful community partners. We're doing work. I mean, Don is doing some really great work with the criminal justice system.
Okay.
Sure, that sounds right.
Sure. We'll go with that.
So like, I mean, we do work with treatment centers. We're trying to get volunteers. Our next phase to get volunteers to go in to do that work. It's just, I mean, we have a wonderful opportunity to like really just like blow up in the DFW.
Yeah, and to reach a community and to help some people, hopefully at the end of the day.
At the end of the day,
Yeah.
I mean, I think the thing that's really great, or something that I've identified in like my passion. So like I say to all the volunteers, whatever your passion is, that could be the event or that could be the impact. And so, but I forget myself at times. And so like, I think about like the areas where, there's no conversation about drugs or alcohol.
Yeah.
Right.
I think about the Black and brown communities, and I'm like, well, a lot of why is because there's no resources. And so like, if we have the opportunities to bring a lot of people who do have, special abilities, I mean, like licenses,
Yeah.
I know.
I was about to say, I have superpowers.
It's like I can think of it.
I got a place for my superpowers.
I have special
I mean,
abilities.
yes, we do. It's called the Phoenix app. Please volunteer. It's like, but to like bring, it's almost like it feels a bit like Robin Hood. Like you get to bring, things back into the community that are like strategically taken out of it. And so to like have that ability to create in that way, it's just like beyond beautiful.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you for your time today. Thank you for making time for us on the show.
Thank you.
And then is there anybody you'd like to shout out as well?
Oh God, I didn't think that far. I mean, shout out all the DFW volunteers.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I really respect each and every one of the volunteers. I mean, I shout out to the Metroplex.
Okay.
Like, we're coming for you.
Yeah.
All right.
Make room.
Nice. I like it. Well, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. As always, a pleasure.
It's my pleasure.
No, it's our pleasure.
Okay.
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 And speaking of not being a pleasure,
Oh, I think Chad's a pleasure.
Wah, wah.
It's all good, dude. You'll realize my worth one of these days when you got a fucking summer house in Spain.
Hey, you realize
Yeah,
one day,
motherfucker.
one day
You're gonna be like, hey man, I
Listen,
appreciate
Chad,
you, Chad. Hey,
Chad.
Chad, I appreciate you. All that hard work you did, I appreciate you.
Thanks
bud.
for this outhouse out here.
Yeah.
Thanks for my little
Thanks for the
area.
tent, dude, and the night at the hostel. Anyway, dude, thanks for coming out. Appreciate it. We got some good stuff coming up next week. Be sure and tune in. And remember, kids, there is no magic pill for sobriety. If there was, we would all take too many.